Pittsburgh Steelers fans, welcome back to Stat Geek Q&A. This is behind the steel curtain deputy editor Dave Schofield, and once again with his big brother Rich. You can't see right now on the screen because he is doing what he was asked at the end of the last show and showing a close-up of his Euro mount, of Kyle's Euro mount.
Kyle's Euro mount.
So it's there for those of you to see. So I don't know. I know we're definitely on YouTube that now people can see that. In case you guys are wondering, right now it's just Rich and myself. Kevin isn't with us right now because we got started. It's funny, we got started late with the first show because we were having problems with some technical issues where Kevin was coming in, but we couldn't hear him.
He could hear us, but
he could hear us just fine, but we couldn't hear him. So we went to start the new show, and guess what? He came back in, couldn't hear him. We tried it a couple more times, couldn't hear him. So what's going to happen is as we're going here, when he's trying a few different things. When he tries to come back in, we're going to pull him up on screen. We're going to see if we can hear him. And if we can, great. If not, then we're going to try. He'll duck back out and try something new. And until that, really bummed if we don't get him, because I know some of you guys we're going to see it. We're going to try him again right now. We're going to see if he's working.
It said
we got you, Kevin. We can hear you.
All right.
Yes. So don't know what happened, but you're here. We can hear you, and everything is good right now. So
right, good.
But to start off the Q&A time, I actually have some questions to ask you guys before we turn it over to stuff with the live chat, and that is this: we have. This was I kind of keep up with this a little bit with Jefferson Hartman. I keep calling him Jefferson, with Jeff Hartman and I. How about some over-under stats for our running backs for 2020 on what you guys want to take? All right, we're going to start now. We're going to go with individual guys, and we're going to start with James Conner. And hey, in the live chat, play along here. James Conner, 12 games played, over or under?
I'm going to take 12 because I'm an optimist.
Okay,
I'm going to take the over.
You got to learn how to set Ted. Is the over under 12? Come on, you got to set it at 11 and a half.
No,
so that you can pick 12 games or 11 games.
I only have one hook out of everything, and you'll understand why. So we've got some unders coming up in the live chat. So or maybe we should say all of them are coming up under so far in the live chat. Rich?
If we try to use Connor as the ever famous Tomlin feature back, it will be under.
But if we go with Kevin's running back by committee approach, do you think he could hit the over?
That's how he would hit the over.
Okay. I can agree with that. I'm going to take the over as well, just because, like Kevin, I'm the optimist. Here we go. James Conner, 700 yards rushing. He didn't even get to 500 this year. 700 yards rushing, over or under? Kevin, we'll start with you again.
If he hits the over, he better get 700 yards rushing, or that's not going to speak well for the run game. So I'll go with the over.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'm going with the over because really you're looking then at, he's only needing 50 yards a game to make 700 yards.
Yes, I think those two stats go hand in hand, where if he goes over the 12 games, I think he can go over the 700. I would like to see, I didn't dive into his number of carries, but I'd like to see his number of carries per game down a little bit. So to just keep the wear and tear off of him. And last but not least for him, we're going with 7 rushing touchdowns. 7 rushing touchdowns. Now, this past year, he had 7 total touchdowns. He had 4 rushing and 3 receiving. So what do you think about 7 rushing touchdowns, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, I'll stick with the theme. If he's healthy, I think he'll hit that. He'll be over that.
Okay. Rich?
Yeah, I'm probably – again, I'm going back, and I'm going to say the over because I don't see Tomlin jumping down to the running back by committee as much as we think maybe he possibly could or should for Connor's well-being. But if Connor is getting the ball a lot and can stay decently healthy, he gets over 7.
Just to get some people caught up, we did have some of the overs on the 700s and a few unders. We're back and forth with the sevens, with the overs. We even got Darren says 8. Varys says push as some of this stuff. So I want to take the under for rushing touchdowns. I think he can get there in total touchdowns. But I think for rushing touchdowns, he's going to be under, because I think if they're lined up at the 1 yard line once or twice, that might normally be a James Conner moment. I said it before last year. That could turn into a Benny Snell Jr.
Yeah, I agree. Thaddeus just put that up there. Benny Snell may take his goal line carries, and that was something I was thinking about as well.
I thought he might last year, but it didn't have anything to do with that. It had everything to do with health.
Right, and maybe that's the case. That would be a good case with Snell. I mean, because he can run it inside and see, maybe take a little bit of that beating off of Conner. So,
okay, I had to bring up this comment with it. He said Kevin is the exact opposite of Lance, Mr. Optimist. So Kevin falls into the same class as Jefferson Hartman and myself. That we're the optimists. Let's dive into Benny Snell then. Benny Snell for 2020. Kevin, you first. We're not doing the number of games played. We just did that for Conner because he's the one we have to worry about that the most. How about 500 yards rushing for Benny Snell?
Well, I mean, if Conner stays healthy and is the feature back, I'll probably go under for Snell because, again, man, Tomlin, if he goes with that approach, this is not going to be like a 60-40 deal. It's going to be like an 80-20 deal. So I'll probably go on under for Snell.
All right, Rich, what do you think?
As much I'd love to call the over, because I'd love to see Conner rush for 700 to 800 yards and Benny Snell rush for 500 to 600 yards. You put them together and you had a heck of a year running the ball. Mm-hmm. But I think I'm tending to agree with Kevin that I just don't see him potentially. If Conner makes the numbers we said for him, I don't see Benny Snell getting enough carries to be able to do it.
Yeah. Now remember, Benny Snell was over 400 yards this past year, but he also missed 3 games from when he had his knee scoped. So I'll just go against you guys. I'm going to say over because even if Conner's over the 12 games, I still see Conner missing 2 or 3, and I wouldn't be surprised if Snell is run as a featured back because there is no James Conner. And this is also assuming that they don't draft anyone else, which I'm not saying they're not going to, because if that's the case, then all these numbers get thrown out. That I think Snell could have a couple games where he goes over 100 yards, which, in 2 games he could be halfway there. So for that one, I didn't know where I was going to go until you guys both said under, so I'll go over. So let's go with touchdowns for Snell. I have this set. I have it at 5. So what do you guys think do you think he could get 5 because he's the in between the tackles guy? Kevin.
I think he could. I mean, I think he's a great short yardage goal line runner. He's got a nose for the end zone. So, I can see that. I'll go over.
Yeah, I'm taking the over there. Even if he only makes 300 yards, I think he's going to get goal line carries, and he's going to, that's going to be where he, makes his cheese.
Exactly. I'm going to go over as well. I thought 5 was even a little bit high, but I was still going to take the over at 5 just because I think he can be that goal line back. And if he comes back, a little bit faster, a little bit more, not that he's not in good shape, but more NFL shape, that they like to say. And he becomes a guy that can then get to the edge, then I just see them using him more and seeing him possibly getting the touchdowns. So this is going to be interesting because Thaddeus brought up a good question. He's like, do I remember? I don't remember exactly which game, but I remember the stat where Jerome Bettis had 3 touchdowns and 1 yard rushing. I don't remember the opponent, but I definitely remember the stat. So do either of you guys remember that game?
Yeah, I've got remember. Yeah, that rings a bell.
I don't remember who that against.
I don't remember that, but I remember.
I remember it happening, but I don't remember who it was against.
Because that's just one of those fun stats that I always like to remember.
Where's Wes when we need him?
Yeah, I haven't seen Wes tonight, so yep. Wes could have told us when that happened. Let's go with this one. Gareth White, if he makes the Steelers and they're using him, this really comes down to if you think he's going to be part of the game plan based on draft and everything. But if so, Do you think he could get to 250 yards rushing as an over and under?
I'd like to see a better Gareth White on the roster, a bigger, stronger Gareth White.
But so then you take the under.
I'm taking the under, even if he's on the roster. I'm taking the under because I think that I don't think the Steelers are going to have 4 guys gain over 250 yards rushing, and to me, Samuels is probably the third. So yeah, I would take the under there.
Yeah, I'm going under there as well.
So am I, but he might be one of those guys that would surprise you because, I mean, just think, because this past year didn't get a ton of carries, but he averaged over 5 yards a carry. I think the preseason this year, being with the Steelers through training camp and those preseason games, are really going to tell you if he's someone that they're going to want to keep and utilize, or if it was just, hey, that helped us out when we were struggling at the time. So also, I mean, we could throw it. This was the one hook. Technically, I was going to do the hook, but I wasn't. Would you even think he had a touchdown? Had it set at 1 touchdown? I was going to set it 1.5, but I changed my mind. Would you put him? Would you put him that he would even find the touchdown zone according to Brian Anthony Davis, what he calls it?
Yeah, I mean, he'd have to bust one, because he's not a great receiver out of the backfield, and they're not going to use him in the red zone. So. I'd love to see the dude, break one. He's quick and exciting. So, let's give him one.
Give him one. You'll take the push.
I was gonna say I take the push there. He could get one. I don't see him getting more than one.
Yeah. I almost said 1.5, but I thought that was too easy to be an under to say, hey, he still gets a touchdown, but not enough. So it's bottom line is, do you think he'll find the end zone? I like 1 as well. I do want to bring up one comment here before we lose it. Thank you very much.
No, you missed who said it first.
Oh, I did?
You did.
Okay. Well, then that's fine. I'll go back and give credit to the other person. But it was September 12th, 2004 against the Raiders.
Opening game 2004.
Oh,
I was going to say, how dare you not give Brian Anthony Davis credit for being the first to come up with that?
I'm surprised he didn't text it to me first. So, but of course, if I didn't realize Brian was still with us, or else I should have known he would have had it.
Actually, that was the first thing he said on since we switched over shows. That's the first thing he's put up there was to give you your stats. So
nice. Well, he's probably like I am with his show a lot. I can listen to it live, but I can't always jump in the live chat. Let's do the last one before we open it up to the live chat. I'm going to take a little bit different approach with this one.
That would be a good one. I know where you're going.
Jaylen Samuel's 350 receiving yards. Over or under 350 receiving yards.
What's that? 20 some receiving yards a game?
Yeah.
If he plays all 16.
Yep.
Yeah.
See, I think that if the running game goes the way I envision it, I think he gets the over.
He gets the over with being the guy that is a receiver. What do you say, Kevin?
Especially with a healthy Ben Roethlisberger.
Mm-hmm. I mean, my caveat would be, what do they do with that second tight end position? If that second tight end is a pass catcher, like that move tight end, then I think he's under. But if not, then I think he's got to step into that role. So that's kind of chickening out, isn't it?
No. No.
Yeah, I think if we're running it back with McDonald and Vanette, then I think that he should be over there.
There we go, and there it is. Depends if they pick up a good tight end. So
see, I'm picking this not based on it. I'm picking it based on what I know. What we have been.
Yeah.
What if we draft a good tight end in round 2? That might change some of my thoughts on where the running game goes. But I'm not going to judge the running game based on a guy who's not on our roster right now.
Exactly. So right now we're basically having to go with what we got.
Yeah.
This is a lot more fun after the draft. How about two receiving touchdowns? Kevin?
Yeah. I think he's in the red zone. He's particularly effective. I think he's a great matchup against linebackers and man coverage. So I'd love to see him use him more.
Okay, so you'll take the over on the 2 receiving touchdowns. Rich?
I probably am too, because where he's most dangerous, I think, is again when we've got that ball in on the 15 to 20 yard line. that's where I think he becomes most dangerous as a receiver that can get into the end zone.
Yeah, I'm going to take the over there as well. And then I had a number. Jeff had a different number. I was going to go with my number. I'm going to go with Jeff's number for this last one. And that is Jaylen Samuel's all-purpose yards, 650. So it would have to be 350 receiving and 300 rushing, or up and down for each according. So 650 all-purpose.
Yeah, I'm going to say under, just because they haven't proven that they really have a defined role for him yet. Even though I think that he could be a bit of an X factor in the offense. But as based on what we saw the first 2 years, I'm going to say under.
Okay, Rich.
I would love to say over, because I think he, if used properly, could do that. I don't think he's going to get enough touches all around to be able to do it.
Gotcha. I'm going to take the under as well, because the number I wanted to set that Jeff said 650, I said 600. I think 600 would make that a little bit of a tougher call. I could see him more, between the 500 and 600 range, all purpose, unless, any one of these four guys, and I'm a little bit, Gareth White would be the bottom of these four. Any one of these guys could be a breakout guy in 2020. And if they are, that's great news for the Steelers. But I don't know that it would definitely have to be one of them over another. So I'll ask this one last question while I get ready for the live chat to start throwing out some questions. And that is, if any of these guys would be a breakout star in 2020, which four would you take? Or which one of the four would you take?
I've got mine. I'm going to let Kevin answer first.
I want it to be Samuels, because to me that tells me that they've figured out how to utilize his talents the best. But honestly, man, I really think James Conner's gonna have a great year. I feel like that he's. I know he could get injured, and that could be that, but he just, as a running back, to me seems like he gets better every year. And so if he can stay healthy, I mean, your first question was, does he play over 12 games? And I said, yeah. So if he does, then if he plays over 12 games and stays healthy, I think he has 1,000-yard season.
All right, Rich. I'm going with Benny Snell to make that jump from year one to year two. That we could see him potentially have the opportunity to break out, especially if for some reason James Conner isn't able to stay healthy. Then he gets the chance to potentially even showcase that a little more.
Yes. I mean, and that's why I took Snell to go over the 500 yards. And because if he has 2 games where he's a feature back, that's just the potential there. I'm going to yield the question, because I'm the one who came up with it, and it was a great question. So I'm just going to stick with your guys' answers, and I'm going to jump into the live chat, because Thaddeus wants to know, what about 1,000 yards for JuJu this year? What do either one of you think?
Well,
you know what? I want to be the Lance Williams here, but actually, you know what? I'm not going to be, because here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bank on the fact that it is my hope that we get a very healthy Benjamin Todd Roethlisberger back, and he's able to throw the ball all right. And if that is the case, I think the other receivers make enough of a jump that JuJu could get 1,000 yards.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll be. I think he'll be in that neighborhood. I mean, again, I'm really interested to see what they do with the tight end position. How much more are they going to involve the tight ends and the running backs in the passing game? And I also think that, like I said earlier, man, I really love Deontay Johnson, and I think that he's got the potential to make a big leap, just like Benny Snell does. So I think he'll be right near that number. I'm going to say that if they don't acquire a pass catching tight end, then he'll be over. But if not, I think he'll be under. Or if they do, I think he'll be under.
Gotcha.
And I have a feeling if he's under, he's going to be in that 900 plus range.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That which makes that a real tough call.
Follow-up question of mine. is he the leading receiver on the Steelers next year?
I say yes. Yeah, I say yes.
I say yes, but I'd actually like that answer to be no. I'd like to see him wouldn't it be great to see him put up 900, 950 yards and see, maybe Deontay Johnson or somebody bust out and get, between 1,000 and 1,100. If we got that, then I'm feeling pretty good about where the Steelers would be sitting.
Yeah, I think it's, and I'm still not counting out James Washington. I don't think he's going to lead the team in receiving or whatever. I think he's going to be a very key piece. But I could see a Deontay Johnson, JuJu situation very similar to what we had a couple years ago with I still like to call him Mr. Third and Fifth because that's who he is to the Steelers. To one Antonio Brown and JuJu when one had all the touchdowns, one had more yards and all those other things. So that would be really nice to have a good compliment. Like I said before, people keep saying JuJu's not a number one. JuJu's not a number one. You know what? If it all depends on what your definition of as a number one, and that's like Lance Williams. He has a crazy definition of a number one. I'd rather have 3 number twos than a number one and 2 number threes, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
I'd rather that's just the way I think of it. Got to bring up this question from one Brian Anthony Davis. Kevin, what was your reaction to Cliff Harris making the Hall of Fame?
I don't remember Cliff Harris as a player. To me, he's just, the bully who heckled a kicker. And
so you're saying a bully that heckled a kicker. Honestly, that guy's the reason we won that game.
Yeah. So he got what he deserved, man. So, hey, look, I've read up on the guy, I didn't, and I hear he's done some really good things. He's run some charities. He's employing a lot of people. He's got some businesses. So I'm happy that seems to be a good guy. That said, he'll always be a punk to me, and I always will root for the Cowboys to be terrible. So, I mean, I wish him personally well, but at the same time, I'm gonna keep holding this grudge.
There you go. Now, I should have done this at the beginning of the show. I was so happy that you came in and your sound was working that I didn't introduce you. For those of you that do not know, Kevin Smith, he is on the website, on our website of BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. He is the author that is Cliff Harris is Still a Punk. So make sure you're checking out his articles. Got a great one coming out Wednesday morning. Here's another question from Darren. He says, do you guys think Matt Canada will be a difference maker as a quarterback coach? And do you think you'll have any offensive play calling contributions due to his resume and success at it? What do you think? Let's start with Kevin.
I'm excited for him.
Yeah.
I don't know how much, I don't know what they, they say he brought him in as the quarterback's coach. I've got to think that the Steelers recognized some of the struggles that they had on offense last year and understand they need to be a little more diverse. And he's the perfect guy to do it because he's an innovator and he's had success just about everywhere he's gone, in college. And he's, been lauded for just some of the things that are really hot in the NFL right now, like the multiple personnel groups, a lot of the pre-snap motion, the formation disguise and all that stuff. I mean, he's got a great resume as far as that stuff goes. So I'm really hopeful that he gets an opportunity to have some input.
I'm not sure how much of the offensive play calling could get into contributing to. However, I think he'll be big into scheme.
Yeah, coming up with the plays during the week to then have as part of their game plan.
Yep.
I think where the Steelers need help with the play calling is not necessarily the particular plays they're calling, but protecting a lot of their best plays with some of that smoke and mirrors and with some misdirection. And I mean, when they line up in 11 personnel and they don't motion, and they don't move anybody around and they stay in that for, 3-4 plays in a row, you're not really giving the defense a whole lot that they have to adjust to. So, I mean, I don't think you need to overhaul the entire scheme, but I do think that they need to dress it up to protect their best stuff.
Yep.
Exactly. And to me, creativity is key. And like we've said on here before, when they were in the Wildcat, gimmicky is not creative. So that just get some creative with their personnel packages and their formations and have the other teams not know exactly what they're doing based on who's on the field and how they line up. So Ryan wants to know, Ben, over 4,500 yards passing this year. Rich, we'll start with you.
I'm going to take the under. I actually really hope it's the under. I hope that he's a little under that number and that the running game gets an increase. And if so, the Steelers are in good shape.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going under as well. I don't think that you can expect him to be the same guy that he was. I mean, he's going to be 38 years old, coming off major surgery. They're going to have to lean on the running game more. You know, if they can't do that and they expect him to be the guy he was a couple of years ago, I think we're setting ourselves up for failure.
And I think it's not, you know, not that we want to flip back over to we're a totally running team, but there's going to have to be more running than when Ben was throwing for 5,000 plus yards. I really just think that he needs the running game to be going a little better so that he can be a little more successful in the passing game.
Yep.
And the biggest thing is, if our defense is what it was this past year, we don't need Ben to throw for 4,500 yards.
Yeah, in 2018, our run pass balance was, I mean, we threw the ball 67% of the time.
Right.
It was the highest ratio of passes in the league. You know, if we can get that down to 60-40, you know, it doesn't. Yep. We don't need to be a 50-50 team, but 60-40 is feasible.
Yep.
I'm going to buck the system here, and I'm going to say over not because I want it to be, because I just think that if Ben comes back and if Ben is healthy, Ben is going to do what Ben does, and it's not going to matter if they need a better running game. It doesn't matter if he needs to back off. He's just going to keep flinging the rock, and even if he throws 30 interceptions, that he's going to just keep trying to push the ball down the field. I don't want that to be the case. I would like it to be a little bit more of a balanced attack, but I just don't think is going to be what it is. One other thing I want to just bring up real quick, just to answer this question that I always mess this up, so I just call him X. X wants to know, why are the Steelers still looking for a wide receivers coach when they just hired Brian McClendon? They did not hire Brian McClendon yet. That was a report on Sunday that was out that he was hired. And then a contradictory report came out Monday that he was not officially hired. He was one candidate, and at least one other candidate is Jericho Cotry, the former Steelers wide receiver. And the Steelers have not announced anything yet, so they have not hired a new wide receivers coach. We do not know if it'll be McClendon, Cotry, or possibly someone else. Either of you guys have anything you want to say about that?
I didn't know much about McClendon. I read a little bit about him. I know Mike Tomlin likes to bring college coaches up, but you know, hey, they got some time, so I hope they do their due diligence and come up with the guy that they're most comfortable with.
Yeah, I don't care who they end up with. They need the right person, not just the right name.
Yes, which Kara comes up and says and brings up another name that a lot of Steelers fans are saying about Hines Ward would be an amazing coach. Don't know that I'm super keen on that, but just because of the same reason I'd be a little bit leery about Cotry is that sometimes the Steelers, when they have their former players as coaches, doesn't always work out the best. What do you feel about those kind of hires there, Kevin?
Yeah, you can't let sentimentality get in the way of like who the right guy is. That said, I mean, I would probably be a little bit. I'd have a hard time saying no to Hines Ward, man, if he wanted to come back. I mean, especially from a toughness standpoint. I mean, he's just a motivator and a guy who played wide receiver with a linebacker mentality, and I always think that's great for receivers.
We'd see a big improvement in our wide receiver blocking.
I'll tell you what, man, James Washington had some nice blocks this past year. He's been my favorite wide receiver blocker right now.
Yeah, imagine what he'd be with a little coaching up from Hines Ward. But
yeah,
I don't know. I'd love to see Hines Ward. Don't get me wrong, but I also think we hurt Hines Ward's feelings a little bit by letting him hang out there for long enough to where he finally went to the Jets.
Yeah, but my question is his style of play that he would probably bring as a coach the right fit for the wide receivers that they have on the team right now and their age and everything else? I don't know if it is or not.
I don't know if it is or not. That's why I just hope that Mike Tomlin and folks are doing their due diligence to find that right person.
I think a challenge for a guy like that is to find the right amount of separation between being Hines Ward Steeler legend and Hines Ward football coach, because I don't know if Joey Porter ever found that. It always felt like Joey Porter never really got out of the role of like Joey Porter, football player, high energy guy, the dude that was going to pump the team up, and become Joey Porter, the guy that needed to be a master of his craft and really, really teach the technique and really, really, like hone in on the film work. And that's the stuff that makes you a great coach. Not how fired up you get guys, because emotion and adrenaline in a football game lasts for about 2 minutes. And then it comes down to technique, execution, fundamentals. So you teach that stuff, you can be a great coach. So, I don't know where Hines Ward is on all of that, but, he can't just be, the great motivator. He's got to be the great teacher.
Exactly. And the fans would want that more than anything because of their love for Hines Ward. I kind of think of it this way. Would I want to go back and coach the high school team of where I went to high school? I don't know if you do or coaching the team where you went to school or not. I couldn't imagine being that I just don't see that. To me, you're never going to separate, as a player versus as a coach personally.
The high school that I went to is the biggest rival of the high school where I coach at. And
there you go.
We actually beat them in the playoffs this year, so it was really satisfying.
There you go. Yeah, that's that's a really good. I just thought of that as I'm like, I don't know that I'd want to go back to my old high school and teach and coach and everything else, just because of and that's what I'm kind of equating it to now, is coaching versus playing. And that might have been part of the reason why, if you think about it, one of the he was an offensive assistant. One of the assistant coaches this past year was William Gay. And did they have him as a defensive back coach? They did not. He was a wide receivers coach. So that's just kind of one of those things that they did. Here's one. I'm still going to back up to some other ones. King David said, "I just want the best person for the job, no matter who it is. I don't care about the names." That's exactly the mentality the Steelers need to have when it comes to hiring their coaches. So there was one other thing here I was going to bring up from Youngin. Not as much the first part of the question. Would you rather take Ward for coach about LeVeon Bell for back? Because people were talking about it during the last show. I caught a little bit. Thought, Kevin, Rich and we've talked about this before, so we want to get your thoughts on this one.
I wanted to take the question as they had it written.
Okay. Rich, you take it as they had it written. Okay.
Let me start with that. Would I rather have Ward as a coach or Bell as a back? Okay. Mm-hmm. If the question is that, I'm saying I'd rather have Bell as a back, because I'm going to take talent on the field all the time. And I would say that. Now, if you're just breaking it down to want to have Le'Veon Bell back, I'm probably leaning towards no.
Gotcha. Kevin, what's your thought? What's your thoughts on a Bell reunion?
Yeah, I have no interest in that. I don't have any personal grudge against the guy. I mean, it's a business, and he did what he felt like he had to do, and I don't think he handled it the best way. But I understand. Again, it's a business mentality. But I just don't think he's that great a player anymore. He's got a ton of tread on his tires. You look at all the touches he's had, and I mean, if he comes back, does he significantly upgrade? Or does he make us? For the price we would have to pay to get him, does he make us that much better? I just think no. And chemistry-wise, there's got to be guys that hold grudges. They might say that they don't, but there's got to be guys in that locker room that felt like he left us out to dry. Yeah.
I mean, I'd be holding that grudge. I'd be saying, we were on the cusp, and you abandoned us.
Yeah. My thing with Bell is I did not want him to take either deal that they offered him. I thought it was too much, and I did not want them to re-sign him. Not because I didn't like him as a player. I did. I thought he was a great player. But now people look at James Conner this year and the struggles with the running game this year. I don't know that Le'Veon Bell would have given you that much more this year just because of how everything played out. But I look at him as a cost above replacement. And his cost to the Steelers is way too much money versus to what it would pay for his replacement. So that's one of those things, especially in a year like now when they're up against the cap. We keep answering when people want to talk about, oh, can they sign this free agent? Our answer, Rich, is always
with what money?
With what money? So that's what we always have to keep looking at there. So let's.
I bet you didn't catch in the first show. Somebody actually put that up there.
Well, yes, I saw someone say
they were talking about stuff, and and they were saying how they constantly ask people, with what money? With what money?
Yes, exactly. So, well, guys, we had some really great questions here. Do you all have any? Do either one of you, Rich? I didn't give you the chance. Do you have any question you want to bring up?
No, I was having too much fun with your over-unders, actually. They were that was the kind of stuff I was hoping we'd get to.
Yeah. That was really good. Sorry. Ali says, since Brian Anthony Davis is in the live chat, he says the answer is always Seattle has 2 losses. Personal joke for those of you that are with us a lot. I would like to get this one last one, but I clicked on the wrong one. Because we jumped. Here we go. Reginald wants to know for Kevin, is there a tight end in this draft class you would like for the Steelers?
I know everybody's talking to kid up from Notre Dame. I'll be honest, I haven't really jumped in that much to the draft stuff yet, and haven't really had a chance to look at the guys. I mean, I have a prototype that I think would really fit. You know, that more athletic field stretcher who we can move around the offense. And we're not going to find Jason Kelce in the draft, but I mean, if we had a guy that had some of Kelce's diversity, the combination of size and speed, I think he'd be a perfect complement to McDonald.
Yeah, Rich, do you know anything about any of the tight ends, or you haven't done?
No, I've started reading up some. I was with Kevin. I've been seeing the most. Everybody hyping up the guy from Notre Dame. I really haven't, and I'm not going to worry about that too much. I'm going to leave that up to the scouting team of the Steelers, because I'm sure they're out there. I know they're out there checking these guys out, and I trust them to know what kind of guy we would want or need. And if they're not seeing that guy, we'll know, because they won't draft that guy.
Exactly. Like a lot of people, like Thaddeus brought up, Randy Moss's son, who declared for the draft at LSU. That's a name that's out there. The one I've been doing a mock draft every Monday. One of them was the tight end out of Purdue. Bryson Hopkins, I do believe, whose father was a tackle in the league. That's a very interesting player. If you paid at all any attention to the Senior Bowl, there was a player there that I thought was intriguing. If he doesn't shoot up too many boards, that the Steelers could get later on, and because he went to a smaller school, and that's a tight end out of Dayton that has some promise. So I think they have some options even beyond using their top pick on a tight end. But I would not be opposed to them using their top pick on a tight end if that's what they deem is necessary. So that's a really good question. I like that one, but everyone always wants to talk draft. It's so hard to talk for draft this year for the Steelers, not having that first round pick. It seems like we're kind of out of it a little bit. But Tony Defio actually had a really good article today that said, "Thank you, Steeler fans, for being interested in the draft, even though there's no first round draft pick, because keep the excitement up and everything going with still what's going forward."
Oh, that was Anthony. I read that article. Didn't even look to see who wrote it. So
that was good.
That was good, because I gave him a bunch of crap over his one about getting rid of Renegade.
yeah. I didn't even want to go there. My wife even read that one because she saw the headline and was like, no, and she doesn't even read my article. So that was pretty interesting. So we had some other people throwing in some names from Ted in the live chat, but we've gone a good while tonight. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Is there anything else you want to say here before we go?
I just want to thank you guys for the opportunity to come on. It was a pleasure. I've never done one of these before, and it was fun, man. I really enjoyed it. Yeah,
well, we really enjoyed having you. It great insight. If you have not read the Kevin stuff at BehindTheSteelCurtain.com under the name Cliff Harris is Still a Punk. Now, is that still the name that you're writing under, or did you have to change that?
Yeah, so I think it'll show up tomorrow as it'll say KT Smith, but it says Chisap in parentheses, since I know people,
you've got to keep that.
Yeah.
Because people look for your name. People look for your name. But yeah, great stuff. Great articles. I look forward to them every week. I always cheat and check and see what you're doing. As someone behind the scenes that I can go in and see stuff as you're doing it. Funny story. I actually mentioned to Kevin before. One time he was bringing up a topic and I was going to talk about it on a podcast a couple months ago. I started typing into his article to leave him a message so he would see it as he was working on it. It was a lot of fun. So, but thank you so much for joining us. If you ever want to join us again, you just let us know because we really enjoyed this. But make sure you all are checking it out, behindthesteelcurtain.com, for it's your one-stop shop for all things Pittsburgh Steelers. Make sure you are liking the videos, giving the good ratings on the podcasts, and tuning in, subscribing to the channel so you get that alert of when we are going live. Because tomorrow night you'll have a Standard is the Standard with Jeff Hartman and Lance Williams. Thursday night I'll be back with Brian Anthony Davis and Jeff Hartman for the Steelers preview. Although we don't have a game to preview, we're previewing stuff coming up this season. Then Friday night we have Lance's Yeah, I Said It. Saturday burning question. We got all off schedule. I'm not 100% sure who we are. I think it's Lance Williams again. He's going to have a big weekend. Sunday, I'm not exactly sure what we're doing for the Q&A, but we will have a show coming out on Sunday. Then we're right back with Monday's Hangover. Next Tuesday, we'll be back again with you for Stat Geek. And we're just going to, it's the off season, but we keep churning out as much content for you as we can. Final thoughts, guys. I don't want to cut you off if you had anything else to say.
Yeah, Thaddeus just commented. Thaddeus, if you're still there, you asked me a question early on. Yes, the skull mount from my son was a Maryland buck, Garrett County.
There you go, Western Maryland, Deep Creek Lake area.
Gotta answer since he asked. I'll answer.
There you go, Kevin. Anything else you want to say to everyone?
No, it was fun, man. I appreciate it. Again, you guys are great. You guys are entertaining. It was fun to do this.
All right, well that's fantastic. Thanks you guys for a great show. As Lance says, tune in, tell a friend, and subscribe. Thanks for geeking out with us.